Sean Rohani, we meet at last, aka Hatsat from DC Superhero Girls.
It's so nice to finally meet you, and thank you for saying my last name right. A lot of people get it wrong.
Yeah, I get that. I've waited a long time to finally meet you since I've heard a lot of stories about you, even from your friend Allison Packard, who she met me since September in her Instagram live feed.
Oh wow, yeah, she's very nice. I hope you enjoyed chatting with her.
Yes, I, I have lots of questions I've been willing to ask you.
I'm happy to answer them.
Tell me, how does it feel about being a voice actor in animated shows?
I mean, it feels great. It's hard to sit down and think about it because voice acting, you always have to work to try to find work, so you're always kind of moving. But once in a while, it takes a while to hear the voices that you did, but once you get a chance to see it with the animation and the incredible artwork, it's so much fun to watch. It's like being a kid again.
I see. So that's what makes you so good about being a voice actor in many shows. Which makes me to one question. How does it feel about playing the character Hatsat in DC Superhero Girls?
I loved it. I Half Set was so much fun to play, and that's such a great show. Again, that it's so beautifully designed, so many talented actors on the show. I'm sure you've spoken with many of them. I met Kimberly Brooks there, and she was incredibly sweet. Um, and yeah, I didn't get to work with Phil Lamar when I went to that session, but it was fun knowing that my character would be fighting his character because obviously Phil is a legend. So just to get to play with such talented people is so much fun.
I see. So that's what makes you a very interesting character for a villain. Yet again, I just do hope he returns for season two, and this time for him to be joining a society they call the Order of the Titans, led by the true character I want for the show, the Firstborn, to be played by Tony Todd.
Oh, that would be amazing. It's
Because he'll be like, know your place, headset. Of course, Lord Firstborn. You have something for the magical jewel that I need in order to destroy the gods and destroy the world.
well, I hope he treats Hatset a little bit nicer because it would be scary playing in a scene with somebody that's so much more powerful. But yeah, they're interesting characters. That's a really good idea you have.
Yes, and especially with a lot of ideas that I'm trying to bring for the not only to the show, I'm doing this for the fans because
Mm.
fans have been demanding for a lot of characters for the last few months, which is why I need every single voice actor's help to let every single actors and other producers to know about this, just
Mhm.
like myself.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they appreciate your effort. I wonder, I mean, if there's a way to find the talented writers and the show creator, Ms. Fausta, that would be, I'm sure they're thinking about that, but hopefully they'll be able to bring some of these ideas to fruition.
Yes, which is why there is one thing that that they need to bring in, like the care. Remember in the DC Superhero Girls where they show off the Red Lantern episode, correct?
I don't think I saw that one. Can you tell
Because
me what happened?
it's like they show off the Dexter, the Red Lantern member from the comics. He's a cat that who was merely in second in command of Atrocitus, leader of the Red Lanterns. And I was thinking to myself, why make them into cameos when they should actually appear in the full time episode? Because I actually chosen the Red Lanterns to be played by for for Atrocitus's second in command, Bleeze. I've chosen her to be played by Kimberly Brooks.
I support that.
Yes.
She is an amazing person and a really good actor.
Yes. And for Atrocitus himself, I've chosen him to be played by Ike Amadi.
Ooh,
Because
I would be watching that.
he once voiced him in Injustice 2, and he should play him again this time to make him more interesting. Because here's a quote I want him to say, which I told this to Fred Tatasciore once, but this is his quote I want him to say. Bow before us, or be burned by the red light of rage. Now, you miserable fools, all of this planet will suffer unless you bring me the traitor of the Red Lanterns.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Maybe Ike will have to let you play that role because you did a great job.
Yes. And which, speaking of that, I have a question to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
You ever wonder about you? Because from that game I actually played in my PlayStation 4 called Final Fantasy VII Remake, you played that character Bark, correct?
Yeah, I played. It was I forget the three characters' names. There was Burke. I think they all started with B's, but
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun.
How did it feel about being that character in Final Fantasy VII Remake?
That was cool because it's a game that I played as a kid, and that's the fun thing about voiceover is it's a type of job that makes you feel like you're reliving your childhood by working because it's all you play, there's a lot of work, but it's fun like that. But also sometimes they bring back projects that you enjoyed as a kid, so you literally get to relive your childhood and be on some games you played as a kid or some shows you watched as a kid. But that, I don't know if you know this, but that one, they had Japanese actors originally for all the roles. So the way that you work on that versus a traditional another video game is a little different because you try to, it's kind of like dubbing. You try to match the timing and sort of the essence that the original Japanese actor brought to the role. So I had some footage I was listening to, and I was trying to do the English speaking version of that. But yeah, it was fun.
I see. So this is why you've been chosen to play these characters because of the Japanese dub. Now I get it. And by the way, there is one thing I want to tell you, but there is something you should know about him. I have autism, by the way, and
Mhm.
I've been. Some people just call me special because I've been doing searching a lot of voice actors for the last few months, and I've studied their voices. And turns out it gave me some inspiration of wanting to do voiceover work like the rest, which is why I worked so hard to get in
That's
touch
great.
with many people. And you know who's the very main reason why I want to interview more voice actors such as you?
Cool.
This one guy named Chris Mayak. He interviews a lot of voice actors for the last few months. He even gets to interview with Kari Walgren, Yuri Lowenthal, Tara Platt, and Steve Stolly, DC Douglas, and many others. Even Mike Winchard as well, and
Hmm.
Alison Packard.
That's great. Wow. That's a good
He's,
list.
he's the whole reason why I want to get in touch with more voice actors. That way I can finally get them to recognize who I really am and what are my true intentions. And that way my name will be spreaded to everybody, including the voice actors themselves.
That would be great. And I've heard you do other voices and you can do them really well. So as long as you're able to act in them and access every emotion with those interesting voices, then I think you have a good shot. It takes a long time to build a career in voice acting, but as long as you love it and you put in the work and you don't give up, then eventually some things will fall into place.
Yeah, that's something I've said to myself that I can't give up ever until I get in touch with a lot of people and finally get them to recognize me, just like my friend Chris Mayak did, which is why I video chatted with Kimberly Brooks on Galaxy Con about wanting to do a Zoom meeting with her as Keith Farley requested me to.
That's great.
And
Have you been taking classes as well, or any kind of voice acting classes, anything like that?
there is one thing I'm doing, Global Voice Acting Academy. Well, I'm friends with David Rosenthal.
Okay. How do
Yeah,
you like it?
it's turning out perfect, actually. I've learned a lot of good things actually. Getting to
Nice.
be getting to be a voice actor and how to manage it well,
Hmm.
which is
That's
why
great.
I perfected my voices so well because of the way he taught me.
That's great.
Yeah,
Can I ask you a question?
go on.
Well, you mentioned a little bit ago that you're autistic, and I'm curious because I haven't gotten to meet a lot of autistic people. For you, is there something that you wish people knew about your experience with autism and things that maybe you don't like or you do like?
Well, to be honest with you, me being autistic, it is the gift to others that brings about joy to everyone because you need because for people with autism, they know what they're doing and must learn to do what's right. And whenever happens, they can never let go of their desire of what they truly wanted.
Mhm.
That's the purpose of being autistic, is to never let go of the things of who you are.
That's great. And I think it's given you a superpower because you're making so much effort meeting people. You have a great focus and in trying to interview other actors, and a lot of that stuff is actually hard for many people who want to get into voiceover. So it's great that you're putting in all that work.
Yeah, which is why there's something that which is why I've been worked so hard to you know, get into voice acting and meet a lot of people. And that
Sure.
way I can achieve my goals. And speaking of the voice acting, there is something I want to tell you, but you remember being in that show Showman King, correct?
Yes.
You played those characters called but I'm trying to pronounce it right. But
Let's
but
see. There's
anyway, how do
yeah,
you
there
like
was
being those characters?
I love it. To be honest, I've done a lot of live action dubbing, but anime specifically that I'm pretty new to. So working on that show, I've gotten to play a bunch of different characters. There's Panchi, there's Mosuke, and a couple more, and it's similar to live action dubbing the way you work, but it's a much crazier world, and you can really go out there with your characters and on a live action dubbing show maybe you have to match the actors emotions, and it's usually pretty even keel, but with anime you can have really high highs and low lows and go all over the place with your with how you approach the character. So it's a lot of fun.
I
That's a
see.
crazy show.
I see. So this is why you've been chosen to be part of that show, which is why I've been studying all your voices, you know?
No, well, thank you. It's I wish I could take credit for that, but a, a lot of voiceover, there's so many talented actors, and it can be, casting directors might receive sometimes as much as 500 auditions per character. And if you don't get selected, it doesn't mean you're not good, or it's just they have a lot of those 500 actors are good, but they each bring a unique quality. So it's just whatever flavor you bring. Maybe that's the right flavor for the show. Maybe it's too similar to something else they've cast. So there's some luck involved, a lot of hard work, and it's also important to meet people and show people that you're easy to work with and pleasant to be around. So I hope I've done that.
I think you are just a very good voice actor. To me, of course, because
Thank
all
you.
I know is that I think every I think you deserve a lot of credit for that, which is why I thought to myself, if I ever make my own show, I wanted to cast you into it
I'm
as
happy to do it.
yes, especially as my own character that I wanted to bring you as. And you know what I call my show, by the way? If
What?
no one could ever steal this idea, I call it Legends of the Olympian Gods.
That
It's
sounds
something
epic.
it's something they should have made all these years ago. It tells like the real origins of the gods and the titans, how they were made and how they became the very things we know of today.
I love that. Do you like mythology?
Oh, yes. I've been seeing a lot of mythology since 2015, which is why I needed the idea of why make it into stories when I can actually make it into a show and make it more interesting,
Yeah.
which is
What do you
why.
have a favorite in Greek mythology, a favorite god?
Oh, there is one, Zeus, which
Zeus.
I chose myself to be playing the character young Zeus in his teenage years. I'll be like, do not temper me with your presence. You know what I feel about you. One day, when I unite my brothers and sisters, I will march down to Olympus, take back the throne for my, oh, and for my, and destroy my father once and for all.
Wow, that's obviously Zeus is the god of all gods. He's the king of gods. Can you guess who my favorite is?
Would you tell me what yours is so that I may understand?
I'll give you a clue. He's related to Zeus.
Because there's his brothers like Ares, and there's a Poseidon, Hades.
Yeah. Yeah, you said it. My favorite's Poseidon.
Poseidon, as in the god
Yeah,
of seas.
I love it. Yeah.
Yes. Now that I I think I have the perfect voice actor for Poseidon in his adult age. You, Sean Rohani.
Yes, I feel the power already.
Because you know who I chose the adult version of Zeus to be played by
Who?
for me?
I mean,
Lex Lang.
ooh, I just worked with him recently. He's good,
Yes.
but you have a great deep voice too that you can play the adult as well. But
Yeah, I know.
Lex is very talented. So
Because Lex will be like, dude, we have to do something about our father. He will eventually take control of the lands on the earth. He will eventually scourge it until there is nothing left but ashes. That's our purpose of being here.
hmm,
Yeah.
yeah, I like
Because
it.
because for Lex, I've always wanted to interview Lex Lang since I've worked so hard to get in touch with him. And I got in touch with him through Facebook, which
Oh,
yet
nice.
again, I've been messaging him about wanting to do a Zoom meeting with him since I did with others for the last few months. And yet again, he should be part of it. And you know who agrees with that term?
Hmm.
Rick D. Wisserman,
Mm.
which I interviewed that guy. He said to me that Lex Lang should definitely be a part of it, along with Kari Walgren and Kimberly Brooks and others.
Yeah, I agree. They're all very talented.
Yes.
It's hard sometimes for them to find time to chat because it can be very busy with all the auditions and working and going to conventions, but hopefully they'll find time to chat with you.
Yeah. Even Mike Winchard should also be a part of it, since yet again, my friend Chris Mayick mentioned me to Mike Winchard, and he was like, this Sebastian Ochoa, he seems like a very interesting guy to talk with. If I ever get in touch with that guy, I would definitely want to interview him to question him about what he really is, which is
Yeah.
why I want to tell you this, just so you can let your friend Mike Winchard, who he follows you on Instagram, that I work so hard to get in touch with him that he should be part of my interviews, just like the rest.
Okay. Wait, do you mean Mick Wingert?
Mick Winchard, yeah.
Mick Wingert. Okay, got it. Yeah.
Sometimes it's just hard to pronounce names right,
No, no problem. I understand.
Yes.
It's yeah, no problem.
Tell me.
He actually has some really good classes that he teaches too sometimes. So if you go to his website, he can. I think he still does them on Zoom. I would recommend it. He
Oh,
knows what he's doing.
oh, that's good. Which,
Mhm.
speaking of classes, though, do you often take Zoom classes by any chance? Because I've heard stories about you and Alison Peckard doing voice acting classes, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I still take them maybe not as often as I used to. And before the pandemic, we could do classes in person. It's still nice to do Zoom classes, and you learn a lot, especially if you take a good class. You can learn almost more just watching the other students work than you do performing yourself. So yeah, if you find a great instructor and people who work in the industry to teach the classes, I'm sure you'll enjoy them.
I see. So that's what I've been noticing. Because all I know is that every time I see an Instagram, I've just, saw the stories with you and Alison Pecker about the voice acting classes. And yeah, now I know why that happened all the time. Because of
Yeah,
what you told me.
it's helpful, especially when you're trying to start out. And that's a really important part of getting better. And it can be expensive, but there are sometimes workshops that are more affordable. Or if you meet other actors, then you can just organize your own for free. And I know a lot of working voice actors who started that way. So anything to get sort of regular practice is super helpful.
Yeah, now I get it. Now I'm beginning to understand the true motives you have in you.
Have you had taken the Zoom classes?
Well, let's just say I have been doing that with David Rosenthal, of course,
Right.
which I've
Okay.
been learning a lot from that guy.
Mhm.
And boy, I've shown him my voice acting that he is most impressed and pleased about what I've been working so hard and
That's
wanted
great.
to make sure he helped me reach out my goal. And he notices about my interviews and wanted to help me get in touch with more voice actors, along with other people who wanted to help me make sure I be recognized.
That's great. And am I making this up, or you live
No,
in Florida?
I am in Florida, yes.
Okay. So yeah, especially now, there were a lot of classes that used to only be in LA, but now you can take them through Zoom, so you can live anywhere
Yeah.
and take those classes, which is nice. My dad went to school in Florida. He went to the University of Florida. Do you know where that is?
University of Florida? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
remember. That's where I usually heard about all the time. Your dad went there?
Mhm. My dad, and then later on, my brother went there too. But
Whoa.
I'm from California, though.
Wow. I did not notice until you told me. But thank you for telling me. Now I begin to understand it.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a fun place to live, and the weather's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially to those who visited here. Like one
right.
time, I've seen an Instagram post of DC Douglas being in Miami, And I was like,
Mhm.
oh man, I should have got my chance to finally meet him. Now I can finally ask him many questions. Which,
Yeah, well, hopefully they'll be around again, in
yeah,
Florida sometime. I know I used to have this job where I worked for a couple weeks in Gainesville, Florida, where the University of Florida is, and there in Orlando, I forgot that during the summer there are thunderstorms almost every day in the afternoon. So I'd get super wet. I wasn't used to that because in California it's drier. You don't expect rain and thunderstorms in the summer. But yeah, it was an experience.
oh, I get that. By the way, there is one question wanted to ask you.
Sure.
What recent projects have you been working on, like for months? Like, what voice acting have you been working on?
Let's see. Unfortunately, the recent ones, most of them I can't talk about because of NDAs or non-disclosure agreements. But
Oh, I
the
see.
yeah,
Because all
but
I know is that I've heard you in that show called LOL. You remember that show, correct? You played this guy
yeah,
called Cool Guy Live.
that's right. Yeah,
How do you
yeah,
like playing that character?
that was fun because, well, I don't know if you know this, but my parents are Persian, and for that character, they actually asked if there are any Persian actors for this character. And usually, when they ask you for Middle Eastern characters, it's you kind of like half set where you have the accent, you know, are from that area. But me, I grew up in California skateboarding, and I could speak the language, but I grew up out here, and it's rare that you get to audition for a character that's like my upbringing. And this guy was this Persian kid who skateboards, and yeah, I could relate to that. So it was a lot of fun to work on.
Oh, I see. So this is why you've been chosen to play that character, because of what you did back then. Now
I
I
mean,
get
I
it.
hope so. Yeah, you know, it's interesting. So many things. It's important to take training and take classes to be a better voice actor and to work in voice acting, but it's also important to live your life. And so many things that end up helping you as a voice actor have nothing to do with voice acting. You know,
Nice.
like, yeah, I years ago I lived in Spain for a few months, and then I learned to speak Spanish, and I didn't do that for voice acting, but once in a while there's something I need to speak Spanish in, and I can do it because of that experience. You know, so
Wow.
little things like that.
Wow. Now that's something I'm having problem with speaking Spanish.
Mm,
Boy, you and I must
that's
be related because of me not getting Spanish right. Because my parents had literally forced me to do Spanish class, which I'm just trying to get used to. Turns
mhm.
out I only speak a little bit, but
That's
I don't
okay.
speak full English, just like you are.
Well, you know, there was a time when I didn't speak any Spanish too. And even I took 5 years of it, you know, 1 year in eighth grade and then four in high school. I still couldn't speak any. But then once you live somewhere where you have to speak it, then you'd be surprised how quickly you can pick it up. After a month of living in Spain, I was almost fluent. So it's a great language, beautiful language. I hope that you'll be able to take more make classes and try to learn it because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Where where are your parents from?
Well, let's just say my father is from here and my mother is from Colombia, Medellin,
Oh, cool.
which you know who was actually from Colombia, Medellin?
I know I can think of one person, but why don't you tell me?
One person named Diego Mulano,
Who's that?
the creator of a Cartoon Network show called Victor and
Oh,
Valentino.
that's right. That's right.
He's
Oh, I
actually
didn't know
friends
he's
of my
from.
mother's cousin, Daniel Cuevo, for the last few years, and they still are. I
That's
actually get
cool.
to meet him, and
Nice.
turns out he wanted to help me get into his show since Daniel has been telling him everything about me. And you know what else? It turns out that he tells him about my mother, of course, since she's actually a actor from golf shows such as Holy Moly with Stephen Curry, which she actually
Oh,
met him in
nice.
person.
Cool.
And
That's awesome.
that right here gave me a motivation into getting into a show such as DC Superhero Girls, which I'm working so hard to get into that show, but for, but it all ended in failure.
Well, it's not necessarily failure. It's just it's tricky because you want to be able to work, you feel ready, you want to work right away, but so much of it just takes time and persistence. You know, it took me years of pursuing voice acting and then years to get an agent and go with another one. It took me many years before I could finally even get the shot to be half set and work on DC Superhero Girls.
Whoa.
So, and part of that is I think because when you're lucky enough to be able to audition all the time, you might be doing good auditions, but when no casting director has heard of you, they wait to see if you can submit good auditions regularly. And once they realize, okay, I've heard his auditions before, they're pretty good, then maybe a year later, for some people it's sooner, some people later, but then they'll give you an opportunity to work on something. So it takes a lot of time, and I wish that we can all work on our favorite shows right away. But the beauty is, I hope you agree that it's such a fun job that even pursuing it is fun. Taking the classes is fun. Talking to people who are in the industry is fun. So even if you don't work on your favorite show by tomorrow, as long as you're putting work in and you're enjoying that work every day, that's what you're spending most of your time doing anyways, so, and hopefully eventually you get to work on those your favorite shows.
I see. Now I understand. Now I understand everything from you. Thank you for the advice that I've wanted to hear from you.
Sure.
Because 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 to be honest, I really needed some advice from a lot of voice actors in order to gain the experience of what it means to be a true voice actor and how to get into shows, which is why you, my friend, gave me that wisdom for that.
Well, that's very nice of you. I don't know if this would help or if you've heard it at all, but I actually have a podcast called Voice Acting Up. And
Oh, I've heard a lot about it from your
oh yeah,
website, of course. I know
great.
about it, and I've actually heard it, of course. And you know what else? I also subscribe to your YouTube channel, of course,
Oh,
which yet again, I've heard you did your projects on voice acting, impersonating a lot of people. You like impersonating a lot of people, correct?
yeah, I haven't impersonate when I was a kid, I'd impersonate everybody. I haven't done that as much recently, but unless a character calls for it, but it's a lot of fun.
I see. Because all I know is that I've been seeing your videos a lot, and turns out you were quite the perfect voice actor in your channels. And that's why I was like, so this is why you've been chosen to be a professional voice actor in animation because of the YouTube channels you make. Now I
I
get it.
wish. Well, that's very nice of you to say. I don't know. I think that was helpful in me learning and trying to improve as a voice actor, the cartoons that I made and the impersonations I did. But I don't know if that helped me work as a voice actor, but it helped me get better, so that when I had to audition, hopefully with that and with that experience and with classes, and hopefully I got all the Greek gods in the world can't defeat technology. Oh.
Now that reminded me of a movie that I've seen once.
What movie?
Well, to think that once, like a god of technology. Now that reminded me of that show called trying to pronounce it right. Oh yeah, Supergirl.
Oh.
They actually showed off Cara Cara Bruno's performance as that god of technology herself, fighting against Supergirl, Melissa Bonat, of course. Am I
That's
correct?
cool. I'm not sure. I haven't. What you're talking about, the live action show Supergirl?
Yes, that
Yeah,
one.
I haven't seen that. I used to watch The Flash a lot though. Have you watched
Ooh,
that?
I
Yeah.
know about the Flash because you know who I'm going to interview with by next year.
Who did not? You've talked with Gorilla Grodd, right?
Yes,
David Sobolov. Yeah.
and you know who I will get to interview with next
Who?
year? Tony Todd,
Tony Todd.
the
Wow.
voice of Zoom. He's
That's
like,
cool.
he's like, yes, we will.
I love that deep guttural voice. You know what it reminds me of? Do you remember the movie Aladdin?
Oh yes, I remember Aladdin so well.
The voice of the that sort of tiger's head that opens the door in the beginning, in the desert.
Frank Wilker.
Yeah, that's right. Frank, that was Frank Welker, wasn't it?
Yep, I know because I recognize that voice.
Yeah, it's
He's
like the
like,
same kind of voice.
disturbs
My slumber. It's so cool.
This is so hilarious. This is why you're called a great impersonator when it comes to you playing the character Hatset, which you're like, well, this is just great. Enjoy your time, Kufu.
Yeah.
But mark my words. Would you mind if you show off your headset voice if you don't mind?
Sure, yeah. Let me see if I remember it.
So you
See.
haven't fallen in love with this day?
Yeah. Well, this is just great. I guess I'll be on my way then. Take your time, Khufu. But mark my words, you will fall in love with her. And when you do, your doomed destiny will once again be fulfilled.
Yes, I love it.
I love when you bring up that voice. I just
Thank
really
you.
hope then season 2 you finally be back for revenge on Phil Lamar.
Yes, I would like that. That was a lot of fun. And that was an interesting story, that episode. Yeah.
Because you returning, teaming up with the firstborn, played by Tony Todd, will be a perfect way to fit it through, along with Keith David's Tobias Whale, Ron Perlman's Black Mask, and Lena Headey's Cersei, and many others, which will be a perfect way for you to be fitted in, which was an idea that everybody recommended me to bring to you and others.
Yeah, well, I support it. I wish I had control over it, but who knows, if that's something that the writers are working on now, but that would be a lot of fun.
Which is why that idea must become real in order for the fans to stop demanding. Because that's why I work hard to do. Get fans to stop demanding for it by showing those ideas right to the writers. That way, this idea can finally become exactly real, just as the fans demanded for the last few months since the pandemic struck.
That's great. I'm sure they appreciate you putting in the work that you do. Hopefully, if the writers know that so many people are supporting an idea, then I think they'll do their best to try to include it. But sometimes they don't know. So like you said, you got to reach out and let them know. But
yes, like I'm doing with the other voice actors I work hard to reach out with, such as your friend Mike Winchard, which I wanted to interview that guy, which yet again, you told me about his Zoom classes that he has done, correct?
Yes.
Me the idea about joining his classes, and I thank you for letting me know about this.
Sure. Yeah, I hope you enjoy them, and even if you don't get a chance to take those classes, I hope you get a chance to talk with Mick, because he's a very nice guy and very talented. He's done so many incredible things, so that would be great. But yeah, it's congratulations to you for being able to chat with so many people, and for it's hard for people to be able to accomplish that alone. So I hope you give yourself credit, because it's not easy.
Yes, just like my friend Chris Mayak did. Now it shall be my turn to fulfill that role of a voice actor interview, just like he did.
Do you think you can do a whole interview as the voice of Zoom?
Oh, I can do that. Nice try. I'm the fastest man alive. Look at your hero.
I like it.
Yeah.
Now ask a voiceover question as Zoom.
Yes. Of course.
Yes.
I can ask that question.
Yeah, it would be fun to hear you interview somebody as the voice of Zoom the entire time.
Yeah, he'll be like, you know what I have come for. Which he actually does Candyman in the movie Candyman, which I call him by Daniel Robitaille, of course, because it's his real name.
That's cool.
Tony Todd's actually very awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, thankfully this community with voice actors, it's usually a very friendly, helpful bunch of people. So it's a great community to be involved in, and I hope you get a chance to talk with a lot more people.
Yeah, such as Kimberly Brooks, which she wanted to do a Zoom meeting with me, just as we both planned on that video chat we did. And that's why we're working so hard to get in touch with each other, which is why I contacted her agent, Julie Thompson of FCBV Talent, about wanting to do an interview with Kimberly, since she wanted me to do it with her. And she agreed to that, which is why I'm waiting like a few months or days until she emailed me back. That way, me and Kimberly can finally get together for our Zoom meeting together, like I did with the rest of her friends for the last few months, such as Keith Sarabaja, Dave Fenoy, Michael Yorchak, and many others.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great group of people, and and I can't wait to listen to your interview with Kimberly Brooks once that happens.
Oh
I
yes,
think you'll really like it.
yes, and because I have many questions I wanted to ask her, and that by the time I do, I will eventually upload it, and I will eventually show it to you. That way you can see everything that I have asked her since my childhood days.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Sebastian. It's been great chatting with you, and I will happily watch that video once you're able to put it out.
Yes, of course. I can definitely do that. And I always do that. I never forget, which
Mhm.
is why I need everybody, including your voice actor friends, to see every single one of my YouTube videos in order for them to know that they should be part of my voice acting interviews so that I can finally achieve my goals into learning their experiences like my friend Chris Mayek did.
Mhm. Well, look, I mean, we're all happy to chat. I will definitely keep you in mind if I bump into anybody that you're hoping to interview and let them know. But it sounds like you're doing it, on your own, and you're doing such a great job of it too. Um, so I'm sure that you're going to have a lot more people to chat with soon.
I'm very happy you said that, and I will definitely want to cast you to my own show. Whenever I finally get to make it, I want to put you in there.
Well, thank you so much. I would be happy to do that once you're able to do that, and I hope that you enjoy pursuing voice acting, and who knows, maybe we'll bump into each other at a session sometime in the future.
Oh, yes, definitely we will.
All right. Well, I unfortunately gotta get going, but Sebastian, it's been so nice chatting with you,
So
and
nice chatting with you too. And I've got something to do too. So, yeah,
perfect.
I hope you have a wonderful day. And I hope you tell your voice actor friends we have our interview together. We cool?
Sure. Yeah, we're cool. I hope you enjoy the holidays with your friends and family.
You
And
too, my friend.
thank you very much. Have a
And
good one.
you too, my friend. Bye bye.
Bye.